everyone from around the world. Welcome to Weekly Insights with me, Dorothy Attema. This week, we are going to be looking at how to prepare to pick up our social lives again after lockdowns. Welcome back. As we all agreed last week, we have collectively been through a traumatic year. We have experienced trauma together in the last 1 year in the COVID-19 pandemic. We also agreed that for some of us, it is going to be as difficult to adjust back into picking up our social lives now, just as it was difficult for us to go into lockdown. As many countries begin to open up because of the availability of vaccines and reaching the herd immunity, we have to be prepared to pick up our social lives again. But I also want to remind us, like so many people have said, that there are still some countries that are struggling to keep the infection rate down, the death rates down, to get enough vaccines for the population. And you know, like many people have said, again, I'm repeating, that we are not safe until everyone in the world is safe. Having said that, now that lockdowns are being lifted, I was just looking at the news this morning to see what is going on. And I saw a tweet from CNN, maybe some of you saw it. It was saying that in the US in June, 800,000 jobs were added, but it was nothing to compare with the jobs in February 2020, that is before the lockdown. There were 6.8 million jobs more. And by this June, they have only added 850 in June, 1,000 jobs. In Europe, I checked up some news and it was saying that in 2019, 5.4% of the workers were working of employed workers were working from home. While in 2020, 12.4 or 12.5, more than half were working from home. This situation shows that though, yes, we are slowly moving into opening up countries because of the herd immunity and because of the availability of vaccines, the situation is very far from how it was before the COVID era. And so that's why we will need to prepare to pick up our social lives again, because we are picking up our social lives to go into a new reality that we have never been in before. Why do we need to prepare? Psychologists say that it takes 18 days to 254 days and an average of 66 days to form new habits. So that means if you have been in lockdown for 66 days, average of 66 days, most probably you have formed new habits. You have developed new habits that you completely feel at home with, and they are your new comfort zone now. Some of you were able even to form that in 18 days, and some of you in 254 days, whichever is your range. Most of you, and like most of us, like even me, we have formed new ways of doing life in lockdown. Some have even found more efficient ways to do life. more economical ways to do life, more fun way to do life. So you can imagine there will be resistance to change. That's why we need to change. We need to prepare for change. Psychologists also tell us we don't like change if it comes in three forms. One, if it comes like a shock, which you are not expecting, the first thing we do is you're not expecting it, first you go into shock, and then you go into denial before you accept and start adjusting. And with the COVID situations, when I look at the countries in the world, there are people I think who are still in denial. They never really changed, and they went through the shock and they went into denial. They never even went into adjusting into the COVID situation. The second thing that makes it difficult for us to change is because change is not an event that requires an action and a reaction. Change is a psychological experience, because when we take action, it affects other people, their emotions involved, there is sometimes arguments, everybody around us is affected when we take change. So it's a psychological experience which affects many things, just an action and reaction. That makes it difficult to change. Third thing that it makes hard to change is because if you don't know the future, that makes you not want to change. If the future looks scary, and this is especially for those who are leading in organizations, in families, you're the leader, and everybody is expecting you to come with solutions, and it's scary because you don't know the future. We don't know what is the future. So that is also why we don't like the change. And how do we then prepare to change? Knowing this, knowing that we have formed new habits and we don't want, it's going to involve emotions. We don't want, it's going to be another psychological experience. We went through one coming into lockdown. You're not sure you want to go into one coming out of lockdown. How can we do to help ourselves? First is to accept in our minds that it's going to take time. It's going to take time, just like it took time to develop and how to do life in lockdown. It's going to take time how to do life, picking up our social lives again. And it is also going to take energy. It's going to take energy also. Not only take energy, take time, it's also going to be difficult. It's going to call for a lot, and we have to be prepared for that. But just in case you find yourself suffering from something called social anxiety disorder, that is a disorder whereby you feel you are very self-conscious. You don't want to go out and meet groups of, whether they are family members, whether they are friends, you're afraid of meeting strangers. That is called social anxiety disorder. It comes from fear and anxiety. And the first thing when you find yourself in such a situation is to accept those feelings as legitimate and acknowledge them, that you're feeling fear and feeling anxious about being in groups of people, how they will see you, how you will respond, meeting strangers. First, acknowledge that feeling, that it is legitimate, it is there. Secondly, there are some tips that experts give us that can help us to cope with that situation if you find yourself in such a situation. And one of them is do not make many plans. So people come, we are going out, there'll be barbecue, there is summer now, people are going out, so you get several invitations. Don't say yes to all of them. Plan just what you are able to do comfortably. Pace yourself to what you're able to do comfortably. Start maybe by meeting one person. Secondly, to people. Start by going into a social meeting, see how it is going to be before you go to the next one. Secondly, do not avoid totally social picking up your social life again, because in the short time, It might be good to do life in like you are doing life in lockdown and not go out. But the more you delay it, the more difficult it's going to be when eventually everybody picks up their social life and everybody's going on as usual, as we hope it will be one day. So don't completely avoid, but make sure that you pace yourself and make small targets for yourself, you know, and maybe vary the experts say vary the activities so that you meet different people every time to see how that goes. And the third thing is that take care of your mental health. It's going to take a lot of your mental health to pick up your social life, just like it did. Just like you were affected when we went into lockdown. So exercise, relax, eat well, sleep well, all those things that you have learned to do in the lockdown to take care of your mental health are as important as we start picking up our social lives. And lastly, make sure that you focus on the present. Live for the moment. Please live for the moment. And that's especially now that there are so many changing in regulations about how to control this disease. The fact that there's some opening in lockdown now, live for this moment. Pick up your social life now. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but right now, pick up your social life as much as you can, what you're comfortable with. And please make sure you get information from the right sources. Thank you for watching this video. I believe you enjoyed it. Just hit the like button to show that you did. Also, don't forget to click on the subscribe key and hit the notification button so that you'll be the first to know when new content is uploaded on our weekly insights.